Okay, today we're going to look at some basic things that you can do to improve your mark in the descriptive writing section of your GCSE exam, particularly if you're stuck at grade 3 or grade 4. The first thing we're going to do is look at how to enrich a sentence. Let's take a really boring sentence like "the man walked down the road." Now, the first thing that we could think about doing is adding some adjectives. So the most obvious places to do this would be just before the nouns. When you add an adjective like this before a noun, it's called pre-modification. It's an easy thing to do and an easy thing to remember to do if you've just got a few minutes left at the end of an exam and you're wondering what you can do to make a boring sentence a bit more detailed. So we could put "the bedraggled man walked down the glistening road," or "the confident man walked down the autumnal road." Or we could use more than one adjective in one of the locations and go for "the confident man walked down the glistening, litter-strewn road." Another idea would be to look at some different ways of starting the sentence by fronting it with a present participle ending in ing, a past participle ending in ed, or an adverb maybe ending in ly. So we could say "trembling the man walked down the road," or "petrified the man walked down the road," or "cautiously the man walked down the road." This is a good idea for two reasons. Firstly, it adds a bit of variety, as most of the sentences that you'll think of, particularly when you're under pressure, will probably start with the person or the thing doing the action, the subject of the sentence. So, "he looked at the dog," "it was eating the head of the gnome," "the owner was shocked and vomited." The moment you front a sentence with a different word, however, you've shown that you've got another way of constructing sentences, and you're also focusing on the emotion of the person doing something. Look at the difference between "the man walked down the road" and "trembling the man walked down the road." You can immediately feel the emotion or the mood, can't you, before you've started the rest of the sentence. The next thing you could do is think about adding a subordinate clause. Now, one of the easiest ways to add a clause is beginning with "who" or "which" straight after a noun. So you could have "the man who wore pink socks walked down the road." "The man walked down the road which led to his favourite pub." Notice where the commas go here. They kind of act like brackets around the extra piece of information that you've added in. At the moment, though, we've still got some boring words in our sentence. So we could think about changing them so that instead of "the man walked down the road," we can change "man," "walked," and "road," so that we get maybe "the politician trudged down the alley," or "the florist waddled down the track." Or we could add a simile by using a phrase with "like" in it. "The politician trudged like a reluctant schoolboy down the alley," or "the florist waddled like an excited toddler down the track." We could even do all 5 things we've just looked at. We could add adjectives, front the sentence in a different way, use a subordinate clause or two, replace the boring words, and use a simile. And if we did, we'd end up with something like "hesitantly the bedraggled politician who wore pink socks beneath his ripped trousers trudged like a reluctant schoolboy down the litter-strewn alley which led to the dark forest." Or "trembling with anticipation, the rosy-cheeked florist waddled like an excited toddler down the glistening track which led to his favourite pub." What you could now do to help you revise for some descriptive writing in your exam is practice writing some sentences like this. You could do some stupidly silly ones or some dark, sinister and atmospheric ones. They could be completely over the top, and you'd be right in thinking that if you did all these things in every sentence in your examiner would think that you were a bit weird. But do you know what? At least they would have to reward you for using vocabulary and sentence structure for effect. If your teacher has a go at you sometimes for writing boring sentences, give them 10 sentences like the ones we've just done. I'm serious, you're better off going over the top than not doing anything. If you write 2 or 3 sides of drivel where the examiner can't find anything to reward you for, you will not even get grade 4. But at least if you're forcing the examiner to tick 3 times in a sentence, you're going to be accumulating some marks. So whatever grade you're aiming for, whether it's grade 4 or grade 9, You cannot afford to write a sentence in which you've done nothing interesting. There must be something in every sentence that you are proud of. It could be a word choice, or a simile, or a subordinate clause, or the way you fronted it. Let me give you one final idea for constructing a sentence in a slightly unusual way. I love the word beyond, because if you start a sentence with it, it's really visual. It takes you to one place and then further. It's a bit like a camera shot, focusing on one thing and then moving into the distance. So for instance, beyond the thorn bushes lay a field of slaughtered cows. Or beyond the perimeter fence stood an army of passionate fans. Have a go at creating some of your own. If you find this useful, please like it, share it, and subscribe to English Gorillas.